Hello everyone, welcome to this Nusaya Bible Channel, telling our top stories in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. The people of Kumba called on government to be more committed in restoring peace and normalcy in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. They said on the occasion of International Peace Day that advocating for peace is not enough. Concrete actions should be taken to restore peace and normalcy in the crisis-stricken regions, while civil society leaders are raising concerns about attacks on churches, which is supposed to play an important role in the quest for peace across the board in the Republic of Cameroon. We'll also be talking about the fight against illegal business, which seems to be gaining grounds in the Republic of Cameroon. Wildlife trafficking, illegal fuel trade, and other illegal businesses in Cameroon. We begin this newscast in Kumba Meme Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, one of the areas affected by the close to 6-year-long armed conflict in the Anglophone northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. On the occasion of International Peace Day, the people of Kumba have said that advocating for peace is not enough. Government should be more committed. Government should take more concrete actions to restore peace and normalcy in the crisis-stricken regions and across the board. Details in this report by Immaculate Fobe.
The commemoration of the International Day of Peace is taking place at a time when peace is extremely threatened. The armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions, characterized by killings, destruction of properties, torture and kidnappings, Boko Haram insurgencies in the far north region, inter-ethnic conflicts and political tensions have been threatening the peace and stability of the country. One of those towns hardest hit by the crisis is Kumba, in the Meme Division of the southwest region.
The main problem we have today in Kumba is drugs. If they can stop drugs in Kumba, I think we'll have peace. Drug addicts who have turned out to pick up maybe guns, knives, intimidating people here and now. 2018, 2019, we witnessed terrorism in Kumba.
Advocating for the return of peace and normalcy in Kumba and the Meme Division as a whole was the objective of a peaceful march organized in the town.
Our community has been plagued with so many, socio-political upheavals, and just at the time that we thought places were going to become, it's as if the thing is just beginning. We think that Kumba municipality will not stay away from joining the rest of the community in celebrating this 41st anniversary of the World Day of Peace.
The population of Kumba say for peace to return, there should be a ceasefire and genuine dialogue between both parties.
And civil society leaders are raising concerns about attacks on churches, particularly in the crisis-stricken northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Churches which are expected to play an important role in the quest for peace in the crisis-stricken regions and now targeted, and the civil society leaders think that this is a call for concern and something has to be done to stop this, which is a violation of international laws. And we have details with Fomi Armstrong Sander.
Though the church has repeatedly come under attacks from belligerent parties in the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest Anglophone regions of Cameroon, civil society actors think that the church should be actively involved if there must be a peaceful way out.
And I think that the church also have to involve in solving this crisis. We saw the case of South Africa when Desmond Tutu had to solve the crisis in South Africa.
This because the church has repeatedly echoed its stance for peace and the well-being of locals.
I have no problem with anybody. We are working for peace.
While being involved, they say the church must not be attacked, as has been the case within the 6-year-long armed conflict.
But what has happened is an abomination. You burn the church of Jesus inside, you are telling God, we don't want you in our land. This is a terrible thing. We all have to pray to beg God's mercy.
There are places that you will not attack during war times. You have schools, you have hospitals, you have churches and mosques. During war times, any attack on these places is considered war crime. During wartime, you have the women and the children and the elderly. During wartime, any attack on this caliber of persons, it's a war crime.
The civil society actors then challenged the government and the separatist camp to consider the suffering of the local population and sue for peace in the northwest and the southwest regions.
For me, Armstrong Sander reporting there on the opinion of civil society leaders as far as peace in the northwest and southwest regions and across the board in the Republic of Cameroon is concerned. Now on to something else. We're going to talk about the fight against illegal business in the Republic of Cameroon. Wildlife trafficking is one of the illegal businesses that seems to be gaining grounds in Cameroon. Some of the suspected wildlife traffickers have been arrested here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala's Manjik and Gabriel report.
It was an unusual day at the Shell New Bell neighborhood in the Douala 2 subdivision. The head of the anti-gang unit, Henri Arnaud Nsama, and his colleagues of the Judicial Police Station, accompanying workers of the Delegation of Forestry and Wildlife, are in search of a house where they received a tip-off about the availability of elephant tusk, which were destined to be sold. At the residence, the suspects will be caught at gunpoint and the bag containing the tusk will be discovered.
We succeeded to seize 26 tusks of elephants. That means 13 elephants have been killed. Probably coming from Congo, very probably. Let's see firstly the auditions.
The elephant tusk and the suspects will be later transported to the office of the Judicial Police Station in Bonanjo, where investigations have begun. It was thanks to the joint collaboration of the Last Great Apes Association, LAGA, and the security forces that the operation was a success.
That operation has been done by LAGA, MINFOF, and police. It's a symbol of very good cooperation.
If found guilty, the sanctions will be huge.
There will be financial sanctions. We think we are going about 100 million of self-reference, and if so, have some days people will pass to prison, of course, not less than 2 years. We are going immediately to that procedure, and this will be the end of our job.
The Chinese buyer of the elephant tusk, alongside the sender based in Congo, are still off the hooks of the security forces. The elephant tusk are presently at the delegation of Forestry and Wildlife in the littoral region.
Illegal sale of fuel and other petroleum products is another illegal business that is resisting the efforts of administrative authorities and, of course, security and defense forces, particularly the police and the national gendarmerie. Efforts have been made, but the business continues and even prospering, right, even in the city of Douala, the country's economic capital. Details in this report.
The sales of illicit fuel keep gaining grounds in Cameroon. Despite the efforts and initiatives put into practice by the government, contraband goods can still be seen in most streets in the littoral region.
La région du littoral, c'est une région qui est marquée par
The littoral region has been remarked for the massive presence of contraband products, but this time it has to be tracked perpetually because it is a region where we find fraudsters who deal with these products.
Ce jour,
In the fight against the sales and importation of contraband products, members of the National Brigade in charge of controlling petroleum products in Cameroon have taken the streets, neighborhoods, houses, seizing and destroying every storage container with such fuel.
Dans le cadre de la lutte contre les contrebandiers dans le produit.
To ensure that we fight against the sales of illicit fuel, in the brigade we have missions of patrol, surveillance, and on the field we have qualified personnel who carry out investigations, bring to us, then we go to the field. On the field, we go to different areas where contraband products are being sold or hidden, and we seize them.
Les différents produits et nous procédons à la saisie.
The National Brigade in charge of petroleum products under the Minister of Water and Energy Resources authorizes sales of fuel only in filling stations. Thus, the members of the National Brigade have promised to keep engaging in the fight against the importation and sales of illicit products in Cameroon.
Now in sports, the flag bearer of the Southwest region in the national interpolls taking place in the opaque city of Limbe, Victoria United has qualified for the semi-finals, and Aigle Royal of Mungo from the Littoral NGV Academy from the West are the teams that have qualified for the semi-finals of the ongoing national interpolls. They have also qualified alongside with Victoria United of Limbe, and the Southwest supporters of Victoria United are still confident that the team will pick up a ticket for the Elite 2, and of course the competition continues. Now take a listen to some elite of the Southwest. Charles.
It's a good thing that Victoria United has qualified for the semi-finals. I have just one wish, to see that Southwest should have an Elite 2 this season, because we all know Southwest has been barren for quite some time now, and it's going to be our plight to see that Southwest should enjoy this beautiful stadium, so we cannot have such infrastructures without having the team at the highest level.
Expecting fire the next time, because I'm going to come with my dancing shoes and I'm going to clap very.
We are happy. We are happy. Opopo has qualified. There is nothing to worry about, and the future is bright for Opopo, and the Southwest region as a whole should remain very hopeful. Yes, the technical team put up a strategy to conserve their players, and that strategy has worked very well. Thank you.
Supporters of Victoria United speaking to our correspondent Davidson Maimo in preparation for the FIFA World Cup, and of course the FIFA World Cup, Cameroon, or the Indomitable Lions, will be playing two friendly games against Uzbekistan and of course Korea. And the Indomitable Lions have arrived at the South Korean capital Seoul. That was earlier today. They will play against Uzbekistan September 23, 2022, and Korea September 27, 2022. Both matches will take place in Seoul. The Lions had the first training session today in the Goyang Stadium. They are still dressed with jerseys bearing the insignia of Coq Sportif. The communication officer of the Cameroon Football Federation, Ernest Obama, says they will still be putting on Coq Sportif marked jerseys till November because of delays in the arrival of jerseys from One All Sports. The contract Figure Foot signed with Coq Sportif stipulates that after the end of the contract there is still a 6-month period during which Coq Sportif gadgets could still be used by the Lions to use up the existing stock. And Jean-Charles Castellito, Jean-Pierre Nsame, Uma Gonzalez, and Junior Onana are still expected to join the team in the hours ahead. Coming up next, Talking Point. For Barrister Nico Hale, Legal Mind, International Peace Crusader, is our guest today. Thank you, Barrister, for joining us. First things first, what is peace?
Peace is the absence of disturbance. It is the absence of chaos, anarchy, effervescence, conflict, war, hate. Is the absence of physical, psychological, mental, even spiritual disturbances. That is peace. Peace is decorum. Peace is the wholesomeness of a structure, of an environment. Peace is harmony. Peace is what we need. Peace is the most precious gift for a person, for a family, for a community, for a society, for a nation, for a continent, for the world. Peace is the most precious asset.
What is the cause of all the problems we have around the globe today threatening world peace?
You know, when God created this world, there was total peace. But Adam and Eve brought sin, competition, greed. They became vaulting and inordinate in their quests for visibility. From that day till today, there has been chaos. The peace that the Lord put on earth when he created the world was distorted and thwarted, compromised. And for over the years, individuals, structures have struggled to restore peace, the peace which God created for humanity, for man's enjoyment, for man's joy, for man's happiness. The peace was taken away. And so we have remade the world. People struggling to restore peace. Unfortunately, you're talking about the countries in the world that are not properly, thoroughly, spiritually led. And so the violence disturbs peace on a daily basis. That's why, for me, the International Peace Day that you are celebrating today has no place. There's nothing to write home. There is nothing to write home because peace does not exist in the world as it would have existed if humanity or humankind were to reflect, meditate, and go back to the drawing board, the kind of peace which God put in place when he created man. So you have greed, you have hate, you have tribalism, you have racism, you have nepotism, you have corruption, you have embezzlement, you have looting and plundering. And all of these deviant attitudes have created frustration. God's children are frustrated. Poverty creates frustration in the world. Unemployment creates frustration. Discrimination creates frustration. Discriminations of all types, of all brands. Racial discrimination, regional discrimination, color discrimination, religious discrimination, material discrimination, even mental discrimination. All of these discriminations create disorder and a potential nursery of violence.
Now, has there been any progress in the quest for peace around the globe?
There is nothing to write home about the celebration. Last year, the theme on this same day was still to promote peace. What we should do now is to evaluate that theme and ask ourselves whether we are making any progress. If you were to ask me, I'll tell you that we are making no progress. Let us be honest. But if we were to sit down, the entire world, the world powers, and honestly look at each other eyeball to eyeball and ask ourselves, what is all this production of ammunition, war equipment, arms here and there, missiles here and there? Why? That distorts peace, towards peace. With all of that, peace cannot exist, because when you have ammunition, you think that you are more powerful than those who don't have. And so you want to test your force, your strength, superpower. Unfortunately, God is the equalizer. When it's time for you to die, you will not stay 1 minute because you have all the ammunition. You too will die. While you are killing people, know that the law, the natural law, the law of karma will come back on you. Because all these killings all over the world, do we need them? Resources that we are supposed to use to take care of Commonwealth, humanity, we are using the resources in producing arms to go for hunting in the forests, in the bushes, or to kill the human being. Nobody has a right. Nobody has a right to take the other person's life, because you cannot create life. God gives life, and God is the only authority, the only power, the only person who should take life. People now want to show their might. They go in for sophisticated weapons. You go and bomb nations. You go and bomb your brothers and sisters. Because I consider all people God created in this world brothers and sisters. If we're to act like brothers and sisters, we will not be where we are today. People should be free anywhere in the world. Now you talk of world powers. The UN, the Security Council, that is supposed to act like a gendarme, should come out and identify those troublesome or trouble areas or potentially trouble areas, and go and make peace and bring order and tell them that you don't have a right to cause hurt.
Now, despite the efforts you and other peace crusaders, international organizations, governments have been putting in over the years, the situation seems to be worsening. What can possibly explain that?
It is painful. My heart bleeds. As a peace crusader for over 30 years, I think everybody knows that if there's one person in Cameroon, I would say, who has spent his time, spent his resources for peace, and also fighting corruption and all, decadence in all its forms, it's Nico Haile. It's Nico Haile. So you can imagine how I feel. My heart bleeds when I discover that the peace that we, all of us, ought to continue to consolidate, if we had it, it is rather escaping away, and we are begging for peace. When we have all it takes to have peace, we just need to ask ourselves the question, are we God's children? Now, the Bible is very clear. The Bible is very clear. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my children who are called by my name, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves, pray, come to me, seek my face, own up their shortcomings, show remorse, and ask for pardon, I, the Lord, God is very, very forgiving. His love from humanity is unconditional, unquestionable, and unimpeachable. But unfortunately, the arrogance of man, the pride of man, we cannot humble ourselves. And that's why we continue to suffer in this carnage. And people are being slaughtered. And children who did not need to see corpses are playing with corpses all over the world. When I was a child, I would see a corpse only after 1 year. Maybe from a distance. But now I see children playing with corpses, sad all over the world. Isn't that horrendous, despicable, dejectable?
What's the cause of all the conflicts, all the problems that we have almost everywhere in Africa, threatening the continent's peace?
The absence of the platform of values, moral and spiritual values. The absence of that platform. You ask yourself, Jonathan, when you have love, there is automatically justice. And when you have justice, you have equity. And all other things like accountability, transparency, the fear of the Lord, you have integrity, you have the truth, you have truth. All of this, patriotism, all of this, they constitute the core values of that platform that we should espouse on a daily basis. Once you have that put in place, you can't talk about war anymore. Because now, we are three of us here, one of us or three of us, we have 3 bottles of Tangi. We share one. That is justice. Nobody will complain. But if Nico Haile takes the 3 bottles to himself, you might not complain, but you'll be boiling inside you. If I did it the second time, your back is on your wall. If I did it on the 3rd time, you did it the 3rd time, you rise up and tell Nico Haile, please, you don't have the right. You must defend your right. And that's where frustration comes in on your side, and you have to fight to protect your rights, your interests. Whereas if there was love, there would be justice. When I hear people singing peace, 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 peace without even making reference to love and justice, those are the ingredients, those are, the mainstay, I would call the mantra of the peace. Take away love and justice, equity, transparency, and all of that. There can't be any peace anywhere in the world.
Tell us a little more about how far ills or illegal practices like corruption, embezzlement go to provoke social unrest?
You heard me a week ago making a statement, very powerful statement. I said, look, you rig yourself into an office of maybe a traditional or a cultural, organization. You don't get there by transparent elections. You use unorthodox means. Just like if you want to become the president of the lawyers in Cameroon, you rig yourself, or president, you want to become, head of a structure in the church, you rig yourself there. You want to become this. When you rig yourself, you rig everything. You start by rigging yourself, rigging your wife, rigging your children, rigging your resources, the resources of the family, rigging anything that comes your way. So a thief is a thief at all levels, at all places. And you cannot be embezzling or stealing or frauding or looting and plundering and talking peace. Because once you do all of that, you cause frustration because you are taking the resources that are meant for everybody to yourself. And so you cannot be condemning what you are causing. You can't condemn what you are causing. You can't be condemning violence, condemning unemployment or poverty when you are the cause of all of that. So I have told anybody who is found in embezzlement, in looting, plundering, in bribery and corruption or rigging, that he is responsible, or they are responsible for the disorder that we now have in Africa. And you see some of their leaders in Africa and the world. Look at what is happening in the I don't want to say some of the countries in the big world, the big countries in the world, what they have done. Do they have anything to offer? They see people, anything is happening, they endorse, they sit on, and what do? They exploit a situation. Once they hear there is disorder here, instead of going to make peace, they get there to exploit, to make gains, financial and political gains. I still tell those people, whatever you are getting there is blood money. Any money that you get out of people's suffering, people dying, is blood money. And some people do what? They encourage those kinds of things. So when they see you, peace crusader, talking peace, preaching peace, crusading peace, advocating peace, they hate you, they don't like you. And once you stand by the truth, you become targeted. You become targeted, everybody would now throw arrows at you, and they will think that you are arrogant, whereas you are an asset, because you want things to be improved for the good of humanity.
So, Barrister Nico Hale, tell us, what should be done now?
The only way that we can address this situation is by going down the drawing board. What God had created for man was love, was justice, was equity, was transparency and accountability, was patriotism, love where you are, your country, was integrity, dignity, was the fear of the Lord. The Bible is very clear. It's Proverbs 1:7. Very clear. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Proverbs 9:10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. As long as you don't fear God, wisdom is what? Wisdom is all those core moral values. Because you know that you are accountable to somebody. And that's why if you know God and you know Christ, and if you know Christ, you will know the truth. And if you know the truth will set you free. When they say the truth will set you free, it is that the truth will give you peace, it will give you enjoyment. All the resources that God has put in place for you, you'll exploit them for the good of humanity, for the good of you and the good of the people around. Then you will not get all of these wars. People, instead of buying ammunition, buying weapons of war, of mass destruction, will go for what? Build roads for your people, build hospitals for your people, bring potable water for your people, produce electricity for your people, buy more planes and more trains and more ships for your people, create an enabling environment for your people instead of buying arms. That's what most countries are doing. Arms to do what? To kill God's people.
Doom for Barrister Nico Hale, lawyer, international peace crusader. Thank you so much for your time. And we wrap up with this information just streaming in from the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Cameroon. And the information says that 3 soldiers have been arrested in connection to an incident that led to the death of 3 civilians in Nilbat Andek, in Andek subdivision, Momo division, crisis-stricken northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. And the death of the 2 civilians occurred on Monday, September 19, 2021. The Ministry of Defense regrets that incident and says that 2 or 3 military officers, soldiers have been arrested in connection to that incident and detained as investigations continue. This is contained in a statement signed by the head of the Communication Department of the Ministry of Defense, Colonel Adonfaksire Gemo. Thank you so much for staying with us. Coming up next, live from Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé, Equinoxe with Serge Alonto and his guest. Do stay with us if you can.